If you're a leader or executive and you want to learn the silent signals that reveal hidden insecurities so you can avoid them yourself and spot it in others, this video is for you. More than 1/3 of all communication is nonverbal. So if you're only moderating the words you say, you will always be at a disadvantage. Let's get into it. Boom! Lip pursing and lip licking. When we feel sudden negative emotions or increased cognitive load, our nervous system activates and actually dries out our mouth. As a response, we naturally just try and moisten it. It's important to note that this is a stress-related response, so it's not indicative of deception on its own, but again, as always, you have to compare it with the timing, what happened in that moment that they started to lip purse, and are there any other body language traits that would lean into the narrative that there's some deception or something bad going on. So what should you do? Have protocols in place. Have if this, then that scenarios in your thought response where when presented with an emotional trigger of some sort, just remember, when under any stress of any kind, your mouth naturally dries out, even if it's a little bit and even if it's short and brief. I was once in a manager's meeting at a big retail outlet that I used to work at, and the topic of the meeting was, should we cut hours in the furniture department for a couple months? Now, my friend was there and he happened to be the manager of the furniture department. So business-wise, it made sense, but for him, he knew that the consequence meant a demotion. There wasn't going to be a need for his position anymore, and that he wasn't a fan of. As the conversation leaned more and more in the direction of, yeah, we should do this, it's a decision that makes sense, you could see him visibly trying to dry his mouth. He was licking his lips profusely, and all those emotions were seeping out because they had to come out somewhere, and that was just one of many pacifying behaviours that he was doing in that moment. Turtling is where we lift our shoulders and raise them to protect our neck and our throat. It's an instinctive behaviour that we do when we feel discomfort, when we feel uneasy, when we hear something we don't like, or we see something that we don't want to see. This shows up in all areas of life, regardless of what negative thing might be happening. One, for example, is when you're exposed to unexpected loud or stimulating noises. For example, I'm sure you've been in a room where a fire alarm's gone off suddenly. Just think back to that time and envision how you and those around you responded. One trait I can guarantee that you all exhibited, at least to a certain degree, even if a little bit, was you started to turtle, your shoulders kind of raise up, you're curling in on yourself. Oh, what is that? It's ultimately a startle reflex. So if you're in a meeting or you're on a sales call and things start to either not go your way, or someone proposes an idea that you're not in favor of, just remember to keep your shoulders relaxed, down and back. And now you know, you can start spotting it in others. You can see their dissatisfaction before they tell you about it. And to be clear, we love turtles. I'm going to name this guy, my name is Jeff. Pacifying behaviours. Again, a response to discomfort of many genres, and this comes in all sorts of forms. You've got the neck rub, the vagus nerve, and lots of nerve endings are in the neck, so quite often neck rub, and also the face. Rubbing of the thighs is another one. So many times I've invited an employee in for a meeting, usually just some sort of review, nothing usually too bad, but until they've confirmed that it's nothing bad, you can always see the visible pacifying behaviours on them. So in a workplace environment, this might be pen clicking, this might be swiveling backwards and forwards on their chair. But again, reminder, is this a deviation from their baseline? Do they click their pen anyway, or did it only show up at the moment you sat them down for a meeting? Going back to clusters, were they just clicking their pen? Were they clicking their pen, rubbing their neck and swirling on their chair? These are all things to bear in mind, but this is how we self-soothe, because when we feel discomfort or negative emotions, they have to bleed out somewhere. And this is usually the form that it comes out in, some sort of pacifying behavior. So in your context, what you should do is just be aware of that. Keep it top of mind. Try and reduce your movements, be less fidgety. And when you are emotionally triggered, just remember not to pacify, because subconsciously we pick up on that. You don't have to be a body language expert to clock there's something going on. Next up is eye blocking. Quick one, my neighbours just started playing music. I really hope you can't hear it. But anyway, we're going to continue. So Eye blocking comes in a couple of different forms. It can be a long blink, so where you're kind of squishing your eyes together like this. It can be covering your eyes with your hands. It can be just simply looking away from said thing we don't want to see or hear. We do this when we find something uncomfortable. We're presented with information that we don't want to hear, and it's a way to mentally distance ourselves, even if only temporarily. When I was traveling, one of my friends was trying to chat up this woman, and in an attempt to find common ground, he noticed that she had a henna tattoo. Now, for those who don't know, henna tattoos typically last, I think, like 1 to 2 weeks, maybe 3, not 100% sure. But he came up with a lie saying, "Oh, I really like your henna tattoo. I actually got one yesterday." To which she then said, "Oh, where is it?" And he was like, "Oh, it's rubbed off." And when she dropped the news that, well, that's impossible, they last like a couple weeks, you couldn't have had one done yesterday, and he knew he'd been caught red-handed in a lie, I remember him squishing his eyes together, turning his head down and away and just holding it for a good couple seconds, seriously trying to mentally check out and remove himself from that situation. And to be fair, I don't blame him. Pretty awkward. And that is why you don't lie to women, or anyone for that matter. Next up, hiding the ventral line. The ventral line is everything right down the middle of our bodies. So our neck, our chest, and our stomach. Now, why is this important? It houses all of our vital organs. Biologically, it's a very vulnerable place for us. So instinctively, we try and protect it. We face it towards things that we're comfortable with. We face it away from things that we're not comfortable with. If we're losing interest in a conversation, we'll gradually turn it away. In contrast, how do you show that you're interested in a conversation? You want to maintain a direct ventral line, because not doing that and having conversations with people when you're ventrally facing the other direction, it shows insecurity as well as a bunch of other things. So I used to work with a colleague, and he was doing a team talk one day, small room, maybe 5, 6 or 7 of us. And if not getting to the point was a human, it would be him. If you look up waffling in the dictionary, there's actually a silhouette image of his face in the dictionary. Anyway, he would go on and on and on, and I remember witnessing, as the speeches continued, the further we'd progress, people would start to turn away from him. And these guys, they don't know body language, they don't know what they're doing, so they're open to being read. And I'm just watching these people trying to check out ventrally, because they obviously don't want to be there. The guy's boring them to death. Usually it starts with one foot, and then the other foot, and then the torso. And being able to read this allows you to make adjustments. If you're being that guy and you see people ventrally turning away, what have you just said? Have you said something that's triggered them? Are you waffling? Are you being that guy? But it allows you to make reads and make adjustments and try and recover yourself. And obviously, in contrast, just make sure that you're ventrally orientated towards the people that you're talking to. And that is the end of today's video. Really hope you enjoyed. I hope you got some value and took something away from it. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you on next one.